Okay, on this video I'm going to show you how to do a couple things for Game Maker Studios. It's going to be like some shortcuts. The first thing is you can drop in an object in the room, right, and you can scale it by holding down your mouse and pulling out, just dragging it by the little square indication there, scale it out. So you can bring in a small image and you can scale it out in Studios. Another thing you can do is you can rotate like maybe 20 or 50 rotates going right, and then you could change that to minus and it goes the opposite direction. You can also change the alpha here to like 100. See how it gets lighter, more transparent. Or I think, what was the normal? I believe it was 200. That was 255. Then you can also change the color here. So we're in the objects right here, of course. And then you can change the color. See how it becomes different color. Now it won't turn green. It's taking the color of what the box is originally. So like red doesn't really change it to that certain color, but if you use like yellow and change it to green, then it turns green. It's kind of weird. It depends on what color you use, because you're using like you're using like the blend colors pretty much. That's what's happening. So whatever color you use for your object, then it depends on if it's going to work or not. See that the violet color turns to makes it red. So you're using a blend color, so you're blending this violet color with the yellow, which is making red. See, blue makes it green. So it just depends. You can also flip it. See how it flips, or flip it on the Y side. So it's just like Game Maker shortcuts you can use here. So like if you wanted just one object, you bring one object in and you drop in another object, you can change the color of it, you know, and it doesn't change the color of that object there. That yellow, you change it to purple and the blend color is going to make it red. But see how that object 1 does not change, this color does not become that color. See, you have two different objects here that are two different colors, so you don't have to bring in two separate objects with two different colors. You can change the color using Game Maker color code, so you can save space. And then with press color change, here you can actually click on it and it will change to a color. So when I click on the mouse, it changes to green. I click on it again, changes to red, and then goes back to yellow again. Green, red, goes back to yellow. And so how I did that was I went into press color change, and then when I click on it, add event, mouse event, left pressed, and then you go into your let's see, yeah, in the main one tab, drag over a color sprint, and then so when I click on it, yeah, it's going to turn green, and you make sure its alpha is going to be 100, because if you don't do 100, then the color is going to be very faint. So if I do 50 and then do it, it's going to be it's not going to be as bright. See, well, it's not as bright as 100. I guess it depends on what color you use, but I would always keep it at 100 alpha. And so then when you go to your main 2 tab, drag over a timer, and then I set mine for a millisecond, and then alarm 0 is going to kick in. So after I click on it, then it's going to jump automatically to switch to a different square. Press color change 2. So it's going to go to color change 2, and it's going to be changed to oh, I'm sorry, it's going to be changed to this violet color, which is going to make it become red because you're using blending colors of yellow and violet, which will make it red at 100 alpha. And then at 20 milliseconds it's going to switch back to yellow, because that's what your original color is. So when you ever want to go back to your original color of your object, you want to make sure it's set to white at a alpha of 100. So your original color, whatever your object was, make sure you set it to white, so that way it goes back to that original color at an alpha of 100. Then it's going to switch back to press color change. So it's going to go back to this square yellow, and then when you click on it, it's going to do the green again. And then after a millisecond, it's going to jump to the second color change object, and then it's going to be red, which, because the blend for violet and yellow, it's going to be red. And then after 20 milliseconds, it's going to jump back to yellow, but it's going to go back to white. Go back to yellow, but in reality, you really probably don't need that. Just make it jump back to the original object. Let me see what happens when I do that. So when I click on it, it goes green. Click on it, it goes red. Okay, so it doesn't go back. It doesn't go back to the original colors. You have to. So you do have to add that color in there. So you do have to add, copy, paste. You do have to make that white, so it goes back to the original color. So when you go and click on it green, then it goes red, then it goes back to the original color of yellow. So you do have to do that color sprint. So it becomes red. After 20 milliseconds, it's going to go back to yellow, and then it's going to change to the original color, the original object, which is the press color change. And when you click on the press color change, you click on it again, it becomes green and does the repeated pattern of green to red to yellow. And one other thing here, you can actually scale this out, right? Then play this, and it's going to be the size. When you click on it, it's going to be the actual size of the next object too, because originally we have press color change, right? And then press color change 2 is that same size, which is the width and height is 100. But like I said, you can take GameMaker and do this real easy by just scaling it out without bringing another image of this size, and then you can actually, it'll switch to that same size image. See, when you click on it, it goes to that same image size. See, because the second image actually turns red. This violet with the yellow makes red, so it's actually switching to the next image that size that you scaled it. So you don't even have to bring in this size image, which will take up more space. You can just scale it out in GameMaker. So that saves you time and space. Alright, and I think that's it. This concludes this video on shortcuts using the scale. Yeah, with the scale, you can scale it this way, or you can actually scale it by numbers. Didn't show you that, but you can do the same thing, 0.5, 0.5. So you can do it by numbers, or you can scale it by your mouse. And like I said, you can rotate it. Minus will rotate the other direction. You know what I'm saying? And I think this also depends on where your crosshairs are at too. So if you go into your object 1 and then make the crosshairs centered, and then put it on here, then you do the rotation. See, now it's rotating differently now because the crosshairs are in the center, so it's not going to look wonky looking when you rotate it. It just depends on where your crosshairs are at. So, and then when you play it, of course, it's going to be at an angle. See, So that's some shortcuts you can do in GameMaker, and then flip it would also. Now it's kind of acting weird here. GameMaker is, if you press on this too many times, it starts kind of acting wonky sometimes. So you may have to reset it. Yeah, it's kind of acting weird now. Don't save it. See, it depends on where you put the crosshairs at. So bring in object 1 again where the crosshairs are centered, flip it. See, it doesn't flip now because you have the crosshairs in the middle. So it depends on where you have the crosshairs at, and it's going to flip in that location. It's kind of acting weird again. You do it too many times, too fast, I guess. So now it's flipping differently. Whoop. See, it depends on where you put the crosshair at. Alright, so this will conclude the video on shortcuts here using the scaling, X and Y, rotate, alpha, and color change, and scaling using your mouse as well, and then clicking on it to change the colors using your color sprint. Thanks for watching.